The second pair of systems that is very crucial to managing our water balance on the landfill is the liner system and the leachate collection system, which is right on top of the liner. So the function of the liner is to retain the leachate and prevent it from going down through the landfill and into the underlying ground and groundwater, whereas the leachate collection system is meant to convey the leachate sitting on the liner to a central place where it can be removed from the landfill and sent off to a leachate management or treatment system. There are three main groups of types of liner. So one is compacted clay. Now this option is very inexpensive, especially if your site is full of clay. And that is a main factor in siting a lot of landfills, is finding a site that is full of clay and is going to be really amenable to building and using the on-site material. So even if you didn't build any engineered liner, then that clay naturally would stop the leachate from being very mobile in the groundwater. So by doing some extra work and compacting it and making sure that it meets certain specifications, we can enhance the natural abilities of the clay. Second type is a composite liner. So composite just means more than one thing put together. Typically, this uses a layer of clay, maybe a geocomposite clay liner, as well as a flexible membrane liner, also known as a geomembrane. You can see in the picture the soil in the background, and then the rolls of geomembrane being placed over it. And then in the foreground, there's some geotextile going down, and then it would have the drainage layer for the leachate collection system on top of that. Composite system is one of the systems described in the Ontario regulation. That's an acceptable system to put in Ontario. And that system has 0.75 meters of clay with a 1.5 millimeter HDPE liner on top of it. So two parts, so it's a composite system. A third type of liner system is a double liner system. So both of the liners in the double liner system are composite liners. And these double liners are typically used for hazardous waste landfills, where it's really important to know if anything is getting through. So that second liner under the first liner functions as a leak detection system. If anything collects on top of that liner, it means something's failed in the top liner, and then you can act to remediate that situation. Whereas if you didn't have that and you were getting hazardous waste into the groundwater, it would be kind of too late once it's in, very hard to deal with. So that's where double liners are typically applied. With compacted clay, the hydraulic conductivity of that clay really depends on the density. So the more compacted it is, the higher the density, then the less water is going to be able to get through. And that compaction depends on the water content of the clay. And you might have remembered doing optimal compaction experiments back in Geotech 1. So this is remembering back to that. So there's all these quality control techniques around making sure the clay is optimally compacted while you're constructing these compacted clay liners. Ontario Regulation 232/98 describes some quality control techniques when you're manufacturing the liner. So the clay is compacted in lifts of less than 15 centimeters. So you just do a thin amount at a time to ensure that it's able to be compacted throughout the whole profile. You need to break up any clods to remove those kind of discontinuities in the clay, as well as remove large stones, which would provide a path for water to flow around the outside of, and also protect it from drying out, freezing, vehicles damaging it after it's been compacted, rodents from making holes in it, and they would channel your leachate through, and things like that. So quality control is very important to make sure that the liner system is functioning well. That quality control is also just as important if you're using a geomembrane or a flexible membrane liner. So you might think that, oh, this is easy, like it's a big piece of plastic. Obviously, it's going to hold in the leachate really well, better than clay could. But in reality, if you have bad seams or holes in them, then it kind of compromises the integrity of the whole thing. So there's also very tight quality control when geomembranes are installed as well, to make sure that they maintain that integrity and provide a continuous barrier all the way around.